The employee cannot open a private document. Search results do not show it. Yet the company assistant repeats one sentence from that file in a confident answer. The file stayed hidden, but its chunk did not. In this safe lab, we will trace that exact RAG leak and prove the repair. By the end, you will understand how retrieval-augmented generation can expose private data and how to test it. We will preserve source permissions, isolate tenants and classifications, authorize before similarity search, minimize model context, validate output, and run a harmless Canary replay. Think of RAG as a library with a photocopier. Connectors collect books. Chunking copies them into pages. Embeddings help find similar pages, and the model rewrites those pages into an answer. Locking the original book is useless if copied pages lose the same access rules. A RAG system pre-processes documents, splits them into chunks, creates embeddings, stores vectors and text, retrieves matches, places selected text in the model prompt, and returns a generated answer. Privacy can fail at any handoff, especially when metadata is dropped or permissions become stale. Our fictional local corpus contains a public project overview, a team-only delivery plan, and a private compensation memo. Each contains a harmless, unique Canary phrase. Two synthetic identities have different access. The vector search and answer screen are simulations with no real company, person, credential, network call, or private record. The vulnerable ingestion job copies text, but drops the source access control list. Every chunk enters one flat collection with only an identifier and embedding. The private memo remains protected in the source repository, but its derivative chunks now look identical to public material inside the retrieval service. A team member asks about next quarter's project budget. The private compensation chunk is semantically closest, so it ranks first. The user never requested a secret and cannot open the memo, but retrieval supplies the chunk to the model. Relevance has silently replaced authorization. The model produces an accurate summary containing the private Canary phrase. A citation may expose the memo title or path even if the link returns access denied. The privacy failure happened before generation, but output formatting amplified it by turning a hidden fragment into a clear, reusable answer. During ingestion, attach the source owner, tenant, classification, permitted identities or groups, purpose, retention, hash, and version to every chunk. Use separate namespaces or collections where boundaries are strong. If policy metadata is absent, inconsistent, or stale, quarantine the chunk instead of indexing it. At query time, authenticate the current identity and evaluate access before similarity ranking. Search only the allowed candidate set. Post-retrieval filtering is weaker because restricted chunks and their scores have already crossed the boundary. Cache keys must include tenant, identity scope, policy version, and classification. Send only the smallest evidence needed. Preserve provenance and security labels beside each excerpt. Validate the generated answer against the viewer's authorization, redact deterministic sensitive fields, and block uncertain high-risk responses. Never treat the system prompt as the only privacy control. Even after retrieval is fixed, old answers may survive in shared caches. Raw prompts and traces may contain restricted chunks. Scope caches by authorization, purge them when permissions change, and minimize logs. Store document identifiers, policy decisions, and redacted evidence rather than unnecessary full text. Replay the same user and question. The private chunk is excluded before ranking. Public and team-authorized chunks still produce a useful answer. The Canary phrase appears nowhere in retrieved context, citations, output, cache, or logs. The audit event records the identity, policy version, and excluded classification. Create synthetic documents with unique canaries for each role and tenant. Query them from the wrong identities. Change and revoke permissions, delete a source, and simulate an authorization outage. Verify zero cross-boundary results and fail closed behavior across the vector store, model context, response, citation, cache, export, and trace. The complete checklist is on CipherVibe.